How are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Good. So what do we got today? Oh, hold on, let me turn my volume up a little bit. You're a little light on the sound. That should do it.
Okay.
So what do you got for me?
Well, I have a test coming up on graphing quadratics, so we're gonna do that.
Okay.
The first one I'm gonna go.
Soon?
It's Thursday.
Okay.
So this is one I wanted to go over. Y equals -3 parentheses x minus 1 parentheses x plus 3.
What format is that in?
Factored form.
Well,
Or
that's
intercept
not the
form.
name of the format. There's
Intercept.
basically three kinds of formats. There's Vertex format, there's X-Intercept format, and there's standard format.
Mm-hmm.
Which one is this?
It's a X-intercept format.
Yeah. So the format is this, where P and Q are the X-intercepts. So what's P here?
P is -1.
Nope. It says X minus P.
Plus 1.
What's Q?
-3.
And what's A?
A will be -3.
Okay. So, does it open up or down?
This would open down.
Okay. Wow, did I draw that at 90-degree angles or what? That might be the best 90-degree angle I've ever drawn. Okay, so where am I going to start with graphing this?
You're gonna start with the intercepts.
Okay. So they are at 1
-3.
and -3. And I know that the thing looks something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I need another point. 2 points do not make a parabola. 3 points do.
Mm-hmm.
So, are there any instructions from your teacher on, do you need the vertex and the Y-intercepts? Do you just need any old 3 points?
Yeah, we need the vertex and the Y-intercept.
Okay. So how are we going to figure out the vertex? Let's draw a line of symmetry right through that vertex. Do you understand why it's called the line of symmetry?
Yes.
Okay. If this is 1 and this is -3, what is the x-coordinate of that line of symmetry?
The x-coordinate would be, well, 2 or -1.
-1 is correct. It's halfway between the two x-intercepts, right?
Right.
The way you always get it is by adding those two numbers together and dividing by 2. So if you add -3 to 1, you get -2. You divide by 2, you get -1. So that's definitely the x-coordinate.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we don't know the y-coordinate, but we know the x-coordinate. The x-coordinate is always halfway in between the two x-intercepts. So
Right.
how can we figure out what the y-coordinate of that is?
You can plug in a you can plug in the -1.
Yeah, exactly. So y equals -3 times -1 minus 1, and I do advise doing it this way. I do not
Okay.
advise doing any of this in your head. None. Because look at how many negative signs I have. You know the chance of making a mistake are much bigger if you do any of this in your head. So, simplify this for me.
Okay, so it would be 6 in the first
No, do it.
hold on, it would be -2,
Okay.
-2, and then it would be I don't know, 2.
Okay. Do you see the advantages of doing it one step at a time?
Yeah.
Okay, now multiply those three numbers.
It would be 12.
Okay. That's the Y-intercept. There's your 3 points. Did they ask anything else about this?
No.
Okay.
Or yes.
What?
They asked for domain and range.
Okay. First of all, whenever you have a parabola, a vertical or a horizontal one, which is the only kind they've shown you so far, what is the domain? You want your eyes to look left and right when you're talking about domain. Domain is the allowable x values. Are there any x values that I cannot plug into that? In other words, that would cause, division by 0 or taking the square root of a negative number or anything like that.
No.
So what's the domain?
Like everything? Like,
Okay. Have you had interval notation yet, Blake?
yes, I believe so.
Okay. Well, first of all, I shouldn't use brackets because you never use brackets next to infinities. Goes from negative infinity to positive infinity, which is everything. Okay? Although if I'm using interval notation, it's important to use parentheses here and not brackets. Brackets mean it can be one of those numbers, and it's never infinity. That's not a number. Infinity is a concept. Okay?
Right.
Since it's not a number, it can never have a bracket next to it. Okay? Let's talk about range. Now make your eyes look up and down on that graph. Range is all about the y values. What's the smallest y value it can have? Always go from bottom to top and left to right. In other words, when we're talking about domain, we're going left to right. When we're talking about range, we're going bottom to top. How far down can it go?
You can go
Look at the graph.
all the way.
The graph will tell you the answer. So what goes on the left of my range?
Uh, why?
What's all the way mean when you're going down? Negative infinity.
Oh, negative infinity. Okay.
That's what all the way down means.
Right.
Now, how far up can it go? Look at the graph.
It can go 12.
Okay, that's the maximum.
Right.
Can't be above 12, right?
Right.
Now, does that 12 need a parentheses or a bracket beside it?
It needs a parentheses.
Can it be 12?
Can it be what?
Can it be 12? Can y ever be 12?
Yes.
Then it's a bracket.
Oh, okay.
That's the difference. If it can be that number, you use a bracket. That's why infinities always have parentheses, because it can never be infinity. That's not a number. But in this case, when your eyes are looking up and down, sure, it can be 12. Right there, it's 12. There's a coordinate. We're already saying that it can be 12. Can't be above 12. So the range is
Right.
negative infinity to 12. And that should be everything they ask you about this question. I can't imagine anything else they could ask you.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. What else?
All right, let me just find one really quick. Okay, here is a good one. Okay, it is 2x, or y equals 2x, parentheses, x plus 4.
Like that?
Yeah.
What kind of format's that in?
Isn't it, well, wouldn't it be, like,
There's
is it, I
three
think it's
formats.
intercept,
Hold on. Let me list the
right?
three formats because it's really important that you understand all of them.
Right.
Let me give you some examples. That's Vertex format. X-Intercept format might be this.
Mm-hmm.
And standard format would be 3x squared minus 2x plus 1. In other words, where you have your x squared, your x, and your number all on one side. So what format is this?
Intercept form.
Yeah, it's a little tricky, but it actually is intercept format. It's tricky because there's no x minus p. P is 0. So if I wanted to, I could write this as 2 times x minus 0 times x plus 4. Now it looks a lot more like intercept format. What's p equal to?
P is 0.
Now what's q?
Q, that would be -4.
Good. What's a?
2.
Yeah. Okay. Where are my x-intercepts?
0 and -4.
Does this open up or down?
Up.
So we know it looks something like that. I only have 2 points, so I don't know where that third point is yet. Well, the easy thing to do is to figure out that line of symmetry. Where is that? If that's -4 and that is, hold on a second, I got this right. That's a 0.
It'd be -2.
Yeah, exactly, halfway in between. So this point right there, the vertex, the third point that we need, we know its x coordinate already. What's its y coordinate?
The y coordinate would be, so you'd plug in a negative.
Plug it in for x.
Okay, so it would be -2 minus 0, which is...
Hold on. Don't plug it into that. That's confusing. Plug it into the original formula.
Okay.
So you get y equals 2 times, what am I going to put in for x?
-2.
Times -2 plus 4. Always do that step. By that I mean never do anything in your head to not write that step. You will not make a mistake on this if you write that step every time.
Mm-hmm.
Try to figure out this, what y is equal to, and do that whole formula in your head, you're going to make a mistake about 30% of the time, is my guess. Now, Simplify that.
Being -8.
What would happen if you got 8?
What was the question?
Let's say you came up with 8 when you did the math.
Okay.
Well, if you look at that graph, there's no way it can be 8, right?
Right.
So what that tells you is you made a mistake with your sign. In other words, it's really good to know when you've made mistakes. And that's why we graph most of it, is because I can tell immediately that my y coordinate of the vertex has to be negative. There's no way it can be positive. So if I came up with a positive 8, I would know I made a mistake. I go back and I look at it and I realize, wow, I missed the negative sign. So negative 8. There's your 3 points. Notice I really didn't have to know A. The biggest value of A is telling you whether it's positive or negative, which is going to tell you whether it opens up or down.
Right.
Okay? But in terms of graphing it, I don't really use A. What I use is P, Q, and a third point, whether it's the vertex or whether it's some other third point. The vertex is the easiest because it's the easiest to figure out. X-intercept format really tells you what the x coordinate of the vertex is also. It's halfway between those two intercepts. So that's something pretty important to remember. What's the domain on all of parabola?
All real numbers.
Yeah. And there's a few ways to write that. You can say all reals like that. You can say x. If they've taught you interval notation, then the best way to write it is like this: minus infinity to positive infinity. That's another way of saying all real numbers.
Okay.
What's the range?
It would be
Start from the bottom.
okay. So, or infinity.
Hold on. Look at the graph. Start at the bottom. What's the lowest value y takes on that graph?
-8.
That's where you start then. Does that have a bracket or parentheses?
It has a bracket or parentheses.
No, you're right. Bracket. It can be -8. Remember, that's the difference between bracket and parentheses. Bracket means it can be that value. Parentheses means it cannot be that value. And I could show you numerous examples of functions where you'd have a number here, but it would have a parentheses next to it.
Right.
Okay, but not this one. When you're dealing with parabolas, that vertex, it can be that vertex. So it's bracket. Now what's the right side of the range?
Infinity.
Yeah, parentheses or bracket?
Bracket.
Nope. Infinity is not a number, so it cannot be that number. Parentheses are always next to infinities, whether it's negative infinity or positive infinity. It's always next to a parentheses. Okay. You got one more we can do quickly?
Let me see.
Choose a different format. Something other than X-intercept. I think you got the X-intercept figured out.
I don't have any.
Well, any old problem then.
Oh, here's a vertex actually. Okay, so y equals -3 parentheses x minus 1 squared plus 1.
Good. What's the vertex? What's the X coordinate?
1, 1. It's 1, 1.
What's the y-coordinate of the vertex?
1.
Does it open up or down?
Down.
Okay, so I know my vertex is right there, right?
Right.
And I know it opens down. Question is, I still need 2 other points. So what 2 points should I get? And I got a choice. I can get these 2 points, the x-intercepts, is usually what they want, or I could get that point and that point, which is symmetrical. In other words, if I figure out the y-intercept, let's do the y-intercept in this case. We've already dealt with x-intercepts. Unless they specifically, did they ask for the x-intercept?
No.
Well, then let's do the y-intercept, merely because sometimes that's easier. If you're solving for x-intercept, you gotta set y equal to 0, and then you have to solve this quadratic, which can be tough. But the y-intercept, that's a piece of cake. What's x equal to at the y-intercept?
0.
Yeah, by definition. So what is the y-intercept?
Could be negative 3.
Okay,
so
what is
it would be
times what?
negative 3 parentheses 0 minus 1 squared plus 1. So that would be it would be negative 2.
Yep. And that's about where that looks like. Okay, hold on a second. Let me put the coordinates about that, because you need both the x and the y coordinate. Well, we know x is 0, so that's minus 2. And that gives you a tremendous amount of information on that point there. Over here, because it's symmetrical. In other words, I know there is a line of symmetry going right through the vertex. I don't know. Yeah, I guess I do know where the vertex is. I've figured it out. But I can now figure out this other point opposite the y-intercept. What is that?
It would be...
What's the y-coordinate? Let's do the easy part.
The y-coordinate is negative 2.
Okay. Now the hard part is the x-coordinate.
Okay, so it would be... would it be 4?
Okay, it's equidistant from the line of symmetry, correct?
Right.
What's this distance right here between those 2 points? What's this distance right here?
It's 2.
No, that point is 1. This is 0.
Oh, so... Okay, yeah.
Okay, so how far is this distance?
It would be 2.
It's another 1.
Yeah, but like it's...
Right.
Yeah, but
in other words, down here, actually I drew it wrong. That's 1 right there. Which means that's 1. So what's the x-coordinate?
The x-coordinate would be 2.
Yeah. There's your 3 points. We got the vertex, which is 1, 1. We got another point and a third point. 3 points always describe a parabola. Now let's just finish it up real quick with the domain and range. What's the domain on all parabolas?
All real numbers.
What's the range? In interval notation, starting at the bottom.
It would be 1.
Hold on, starting at the bottom. Way down here. Go all the way down to the bottom. What is that?
Infinity. Negative infinity.
Infinity. There's a difference. It's negative infinity. If you're going all the way to the top, that's positive infinity.
Right.
Now, what's the rest of it for the range?
It would be 1.
Bracket.
Bracket.
Very Very good, Blake. That's how you do these.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Okay.
All right. You have a good day. I'll talk to you next time.
Thank you. You too.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.